All right, Middlecoff live on the tube. I have been. I got to tell you. So this is not a podcast. We're just making some videos on YouTube. Thursday we will do a podcast. Thursday morning we'll do a podcast. I've been doing a deep dive. No joke. I got a Taylor Swift expert. I tweeted today what song is Aaron Rodgers singing, and I got a text from a friend, Jill Savage, who loves Taylor Swift. Is like the biggest Taylor Swift person I know. And so she gave me like a full, because I'm like, what does this song mean? She gave me a full breakdown of the song. Like, is Aaron sending a message, which I think he is, and I will give you that breakdown tomorrow on the podcast. So just keep an eye out for that.
Miles Teller is the dude in the new Top Gun coming out, right?
I like that guy. He's a good actor.
I do too.
Yeah.
And I did not know he was married. I guess we'll get into it on the podcast. Anytime you see weird things go on in Hollywood circles.
Interesting.
Just couples, it's not. If me, you, and 3 other couples went on vacation, it's just most people when they go on vacations with couples, like it's just like people do normal people things. I never put it past the rich and famous what's going on. I know that. Yeah. Because that was his wife he was singing with, right?
That's right.
That was not his Rodgers.
Miles Teller's wife, yeah.
Yeah, just when I worked in the league,
fiance.
I heard stories about just not Rodgers, but I think people are probably being a little naive to what potentially could be happening.
But that's why I always get my private jet deep cleaned before I use it. Because I'm like, who was in here, right? Who movers and shakers, Hollywood types. I want a blue-collar private jet to take me to Big Sky, Montana.
Meanwhile, the wide receivers are making a stand for him, and he's doing who knows what in Kauai.
Jordan Love is thrown to like cardboard cutouts from COVID attendance at Lambeau Field.
It's hilarious.
Poor Jordan Love. He's like, guys, Aaron's not taking you with him when he goes to Denver,
No.
I mean, it's just anyway. All right, so you want to make some videos?
Yeah,
do a few things.
Let's do it.
If you're watching on the YouTube, smash that like button. We're just hanging out today, doing a few things. So yeah, we're gonna record each video individually. So if you're here for the whole time, you're gonna hear about Wine Access a lot. This is more like a this is like being at we should call this the chef's table. Where you sit at the counter and really part of the appeal is you're just there watching the chef cook, watching the master, work his craft. You okay over there?
Yeah, I'm just trying to. For some reason, it always feels like I'm not centered. My picture, could be my camera.
No, I think you're good. I can move you around a little, but I tend to move you a little bit because sometimes you drift into the middle and your face gets covered up.
But it's like, the pictures is like my camera is not even, but it could be my desk. I don't know.
Is your house built on a hill?
Well, no, I feel like it's my camera, but what are you going to do?
Oh, I kind of see what you're saying. Like over your left shoulder, unless maybe all the frames behind you are crooked and it makes it look that way.
See, that's.
Yeah. Maybe all your frames are crooked.
No, they're not.
It just makes it's a visual optical illusion.
It's the camera.
That didn't help. All right. I think it looks good.
I might have to Jimmy rig that thing a little later.
All right. You want to do some videos?
Is my camera good, or do you want me to pull it down?
You look good. Okay. You look good. Okay, I'm gonna go out of order. You want to start with the match?
Yes, do whatever you want.
All right, here we go. 3. We're gonna do the countdown now. 3, 2, 1. Hey, what's up? I'm Guy.
I'm John.
It's our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it and give this video a like.
We also have this little thing called the podcast below in the description. Check that out.
Podcast brought to you by wineaccess.com/ham, 20% off.
Yeah, send some people some gifts right now. Wineaccess.com/ham.
John, we have a matchup for the big time in Big Sky, Moonlight Basin, Big Sky, Montana. The match, you told me it was maybe the match 6. Phil Mickelson and Tom Brady against the scientist and the Jeopardy host, as Brady called them, Bryson DeChambeau and Aaron Rodgers. This is perfect timing for this build-up here. If somehow you told me Koepka was involved, I'd start thinking golf was WWE.
Yeah, let's see. We had the Tiger Phil match. That was for like $11 million that I think Phil won. We had Tiger, Phil, Brady, Peyton in the rain, remember? When Tom hit it in the hole.
Yep.
That was pretty sweet.
And tore his pants.
And Peyton has the most wicked hook. Then we had the match with Steph Curry, Charles Barkley, whose swing is fixed, Peyton and Phil. Phil has been the stalwart. I think Phil, obviously Tiger got injured. And then this to me, Tiger Phil was just kind of boring. There just wasn't enough. It's hard for two guys to carry a bracket. When you have four, I think the Peyton, Tom, Tiger, Phil was pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, with Tiger MIA, you could argue Bryson bringing like if Tiger can't make it, you're going to add like I think Rogers is the right move. I mean, these two guys just played in the NFC Championship game. I mean, Tom's the best quarterback of all time. Rogers probably won't win another one, but he's going to go down potentially as a top 5 guy. Like just those two guys alone is pretty unreal. Phil resurrected his career last weekend, and Bryson is just he's become, part of it is just social media, whatever. We're fascinated by people that lift. We really are fascinated by people that lift. We have been. When I was a kid, Schwarzenegger was a big fucking deal. The Rock has become we are just fascinated with NFL big players.
People that are larger than life, right? Physically, truly outliers.
Yeah, I just think that Bryson would not have been that until he started pounding the weights. And, adding Rodgers, I think this thing could do a lot of views. I mean, we factor in one guy's demanding a trade, basically.
They couldn't have picked Aaron Rodgers. If you had done Aaron Rodgers last year, it would have been a big deal. But Aaron Rodgers, when he's the most in-demand athlete in America right now, in terms of can somebody spot him? Is he Sasquatch? Can we get a quote from him? Right? He's extremely in demand. Getting Aaron kind of to show up to something is what the Packers are trying very hard to do. It's hard to get him to. So that, and then Bryson, I'm with you. Bryson is the most fascinating golfer right now. He's must-see TV, even when he's not leading, because he's always trying to cut lines and play the game in a way that no one's watched it played before. And there's just a basic – someone who doesn't know golf, just like someone who doesn't know baseball, understood what it meant when Barry Bonds hit the ball in the water. You went, oh, that's crazy. You don't have to be – to really get Bryson, you don't. And here's the other thing: this thing's at elevation, so Bryson might be hitting the ball 500 yards.
Oh my God! Here's another element with Rodgers. It would be difficult if you had a couple random golfers, even with some juice. And when I say random, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, they're not really probably going to be messing with Rodgers. Two guys whose give a shit level in terms of making people feel uncomfortable. Mickelson and Brady, which is a negative 100, they do not care. They are going to bring up Packers, trade. It is going to be some stuff that just goes viral. And I would say that most people wouldn't have the juice. Clearly, Tom's going nuts right now with memes. Phil will be right there with him.
Absolutely.
I mean, Phil is a degenerate NFL gambler. So he has there could be some quotes in this that could be pretty funny. I mean, Phil there's a story at Firestone, or maybe it was the Memorial, where the feds were waiting for Phil about the insider trading that he did to pay off his gambling debts. And his gambling debts come from NFL and college football.
Yeah, not on golf course gambling debts. Those people are – there's no that bookie – first of all, he
betting $1 million on the Chargers Raider game. That's what Phil does.
So speaking of betting, DeChambeau and Rodgers are the favorites. I like Mickelson and Brady in this event, John. I think Mickelson, even if he hadn't just won, I like him in type of match play. But I think the underrated part here,
Tom's not very good at golf.
No, but I think this whole thing's a little unnerving. And I think we saw it with Tom. It's just really unique. We saw it with Tom the last time. It's just really unique. Now that he's done this before, this specific event, I think it's pretty weird. I would imagine if you're in it, even if you're these guys, it's pretty weird. And so, I'm going to lean with Brady and Phil here as the underdogs, just because I think Tom will be a little better because he's been through this thing. And, so I'm going with Brady and Phil.
I like the logic. Phil's completely numb to it, right? He's done it every single time. Bryson's going to be trying to put on a show. He might hit one to Idaho. And Rodgers, I watched him a little bit a couple years ago at the AT&T Pro-Am. He's actually, I would imagine he's better than Brady at golf.
Yeah, his swing looks a little bit, his arms extend a little early, but
we get some lessons. I don't know. Is he in playing Wailea or Kapalua?
Kapalua, gotta be. Actually, he did. I saw Kaylee Teller posted a few photos from Kapalua. So
this is this is going to get some eyeballs. This is, I would imagine the people, Capital One and the people behind this feel pretty good about their forces.
Yes.
You know,
Could we get John all of a sudden a third grouping announced, Brooks and Gutekunst, maybe? It's a great idea.
that would be incredible.
It's a great idea.
That would be incredible.
All right. Thank you for that contribution, John. John Fitzgerald. Well done. Make it a 3 groups. Okay. Let's talk about this. This got interesting yesterday. So let's do our John Lynch thing now. So, yep, I'm good on that. You ready to roll on that? 3, 2. Hey, what's up? I'm Guy.
I'm John.
It's our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it and give this video a like.
We have this little thing called a podcast. You can find it below in the description.
This video is brought to you by our friends at wineaccess.com/ham, where you get 20% off.
Send a gift to someone that does not know a gift is coming and use wineaccess.com/ham. Who doesn't like wine? Everyone does. Send it right now.
Satisfaction guaranteed. Satisfaction guaranteed. All right, John. Here is what John Lynch said on Collinsworth's PFF podcast about Trey Lance. Take a listen.
Justin Fields had a fantastic workout, but on the way back, we're on the plane. Jed was nice enough to get us a plane, and Kyle's on his iPad with that iPad pencil, and he's just grinding over there. And finally he said, "Look at this." I was wondering what he was doing. Well, he was drawing up stuff with Trey, in mind. And so we had just come from Justin Fields, and we both agreed his workout was fantastic. But Kyle and I, that's when I said, man, he's really all in on Justin Fields.
Thanks to Jed for letting us use the plane, by the way. So drawing up plays, what he said there, just come from Justin Fields' workout. He was fantastic. But when Kyle showed me he was drawing up plays for Trey on the plane, that's when I knew he was really all in on Trey. Remember, this was before they'd actually seen Trey Lance in person, too.
Yeah, it goes back to what he said. And listen, I've always said when you hear coaches and GMs talk, you have to take everything with a grain of salt. For the most part, everything they have said has felt pretty true, and their actions have followed what they've said. I don't think they really have a reason to lie. But they were adamant that Trey was the guy from the jump. And media reports were the opposite, right? It was Mac. I feel pretty confident that, at least with John for sure, but that Kyle was the guy that got John really to be into Trey. And this just goes back to kind of validate that thinking, right? That Kyle was all in on Trey from the jump. Now, the thing that I had heard, which feels like it was just wrong, and you had mentioned this right after the draft, that people in the Niners had told you, and I had heard the same thing, but Justin Fields was never an option, even though I was hearing kind of maybe from Justin Fields' camp that they felt pretty confident. And I think that's part of it. We had some fun at the expense of the Bears, right, when he picked up the phone. I think his devastation, because whether it was true or not, his truth in their camp, they thought like they had a pretty good opportunity. And in fairness to the Niners, it's not like they were telling anyone. Hell, remember Trey Lance was on the phone. He's like, "Did you know it was us?" He's like, "No, man, I didn't have any clue," because they didn't really tip their hand. But Kyle was pretty enamored with him. I mean, I think clearly, right, if you take what he just said at face value, which at this point, why would he make that up?
Yeah, I don't think he's making it up. I do think the reason that you would
there is a reason to make it up, to make your guy feel better.
Make your guy feel better. Let the legend grow a little bit more, that you were dialed in on your guy the whole time, and as everyone else was trying to figure it out, especially because you've seen how you were judged when people thought you liked Mac Jones. My belief has been, and I've said it many times, I think they like Trey Lance. I take them at face value for a lot of what they've said in terms of how long they've liked him. I do think they considered Mac Jones, not like the week leading up to the draft, but I think they were open-minded, like, where are we on this? And it would not surprise me if they even in some way had Mac ahead of Justin Fields, which I know sounds crazy. That would not surprise me. But to me, it's just more about, I don't think it was close for them between Trey and Fields. Again, listen to what he says. He says, "We just saw Justin. He was fantastic. He had a great pro day." And what he's saying is he doesn't want to, and we saw it when he talked about Reuben Foster the other day.
Belittle the guy.
Yeah. He's like, look, he was fantastic, but it's about how much we liked Trey, not that we didn't like Justin. And I can understand why. I could understand why they would like Trey Lance a lot. You and I both, when we had to pick, said I think that's who they take in the end, in the final moments before the draft, because there was a lot of reason to like Trey Lance. And I think after they got to work with him, I think all the stuff we've heard about his aptitude, the things that he did, like the things that he was required to do in college, it makes sense to me that they would have really been zeroed in on him, several weeks before the draft. That I don't think it's crazy, kind of this sort of, I don't want to use the word narrative, but I guess it's kind of narrative that they're relaying, which is that Trey was at the top of the list.
Yeah, and I think when you really like a player, and sometimes you see this in the draft when there is the coach and the GM or the personnel department and the coaching staff are not on the same page, it carries over to the field. And I experienced it with, lower name guys when I was with the Eagles, like mid-round picks that a assistant coach didn't want, that the personnel side did, and then the coach, it feels like half-assed coaching him. It's different because Kyle's in control here. But I think right away you see in the first practice, he's right there with Jimmy. Like he's repping like he's the 1B, right? Really, there's 1 and a 2. Really, there's 1A and 1B right now. Like this guy's the backup quarterback immediately because that's Kyle's guy, right? Now, Jimmy is the guy because he's been there longer. He's accomplished more. But I think that's a pretty good sign of like, it's not like Kyle feels, because there have been reports and people have written, whether it's The Athletic or just different people out there, could this have been kind of forced on Kyle? Did he get cold feet because the media, and we've both said, you think he gives a flying fuck what the media thinks? You haven't been following the Shanahan, or Kyle, maybe Mike does, but Kyle definitely doesn't. And I don't think Mike at this point does either. And I would say John doesn't really either, right? So they made the decision that they felt best. And now the best part about any decision in pro sports, right? In other walks of life, it can take a while. Like in sports, you kind of know, like you just get validated, or whoa, we got a problem, or whoa, we have a long way to go. You just know because you get the games, and they are, kind of, in normal people business, there's like quarters, Q1, Q2, end of the year. Like in sports, there's every week, right? And Jimmy plays into it too, like how he's playing. Is Trey having packages? There's so many different variables, but you get to see them play. Like there's a test every Sunday.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. But I think that's what made it hard for people on Trey, though, is that no one had really seen him play.
Well, no one has, beside, like scouts.
Well,
and, even if you YouTube them, like you didn't, there's something about, I think there's something comforting for a fan, right? For any famous guy that was just drafted, right? The Jamar Chases, the Waddles, even Mac and Justin Fields. Like I watched those guys play. You've often heard people talk about it in the NBA. It's always so much easier to draft the star of the tournament. Your owner's always behind it, than kind of go outside the box of a guy on a bad team, on a European guy. It's easy. It would have been easy if Kyle had told Jed and John, I love Justin Fields. There would have been zero pushback from the fans. He would have got applauded on draft day. It would have been would you agree that would have been the easiest move?
Yep.
For public perception?
Yes. But, I've said this, you and I have talked about like college football coach hires for a while. That's great when you get all the pats on the back at the press conference. But in 6 months, you're going to have to play a football game. And you better hope you hired the right coach for that, not the right coach for the press conference. So, yeah, I do agree, I think it's a great point. The big school guy who played a bunch of games, who played on a big stage, is always going to be the number one kind of consensus pick, right? No one is ever going to be like, no, I want Josh Allen. I shouldn't say, when I say no one, I just mean the majority will never say that. And understandably so. Right?
Yeah, I don't think it's ever difficult to draft. Oh, we drafted Najee Harris. Oh, we drafted Devontae Smith. And I'm talking great Jamar Chase. These guys were elite players. But as we know, there have been a lot of the same, right? Najee Harris's, Jamar Chase's, Waddles, Devontae Smith's, Penei Sewell's, like the big name guys. We know for a fact all of them are not going to be Pro Bowlers, right? Some of those guys are going to have quote unquote disappointing careers, right? And same with Trey Lance. Who knows? That's
Well,
the unknown. The best part about the NFL offseason is so much happens, right? You have free agency and you have a draft, and there's so many different moves. There's so much NFL turnover. Of the three major sports, by far, because the contracts aren't guaranteed, you can cut guys. I remember when I was in the NFL, there were studies like, it's on average, it was like 30 to 35%. But some teams are different depending on your roster, right? Some teams can have like almost, I bet the Patriots this year had a massive turnover, and some teams can have 22%. But you know for a fact you're going to have several new starters every year, right? Rookies, free agents, and no one ever, we've talked about this for a long time, you have never in the history of a draft seen a first round pick and not a crazy celebration.
No one's ever been like, we didn't just draft a star.
The reaction of all the quarterbacks in all these drafts, besides, I don't count Belichick, they don't celebrate, but the good example is Penei Sewell, right? The Lions, how excited they were. And you had said that, didn't Penei say like it was cool to go somewhere where they were super excited?
Mm-hmm.
Like it might, if I told them, do you know Penei is actually not going to be very good? Like obviously they think he's going to be a star, like
right.
a stud, a stalwart.
Yep.
Everyone, same with Najee Harris, same with Devontae Smith, same with Micah Parsons. I mean, you can go through the list. They were all celebrating. Trey Lance, Zach Wilson. I mean, it's just, but you and I talk so much leading up, and this is what makes the draft, such a polarizing thing. Like they were all in on him. That's awesome. Just like I think Howie was all in on Devontae Smith, and the Bengals were all in on Jamar Chase. You get to find out, right?
Well, this is, I think, why ultimately, if I were the owner of a team or a GM hiring a coach, it'd be really hard to not hire an offensive coordinator as your head coach. Go back to the clip we loved from Mel Kiper. This was after he was on this show. But when he went on that rant, right, about coaching players up, like you've said it, you get paid a lot of money to coach guys up. Part of this is the scouts have to have the vision based on the physical attributes. You have to be able to say, okay, here's what I can make this guy become. And so that's part of the deal with Trey, right? Part of this has to be vision. It really is the case for any guy. But the number one position you need to have vision for, like if you told me my coach is on an airplane getting ready for the draft and he's drawing stuff up on his iPad, do I want him to be drawing stunts for the defensive line or plays for the quarterback? Like plays for the quarterback. Like that's what I want, right? Yes. And so to me, like this story from Lynch is another example of why it'd be really hard. Like Saleh might turn out to be a great coach. There are defensive coaches having a lot of success. Historically, it happens. But like this to me is a perfect example of why it's hard to put all your eggs in a basket of a guy who can't fix the quarterback, whose number one job isn't to work with the offense and the most important position in sports.
Think about two of the greatest quarterback moves ever came from Bill Walsh, anticipatory scouting of Steve Young when they traded for him from the Bucs. The other one, Ron Wolf, Mike Holmgren, anticipatory scouting when the Falcons Hall of Fame quarterback Brett Favre. But at the time when both those moves were made, now I don't know if either one thought the guy would be Hall of Fame all-time greats, but they saw talent where every other team could have gone in the mix, right?
It's really crazy that two of the 10 greatest quarterbacks of all, those two guys were traded players.
Yeah, it's wild. Falcons still claim him, though.
Falcons do still claim him, as they have the right to do, I guess.
We drafted him.
Yeah. We nailed. They anticipatory scouted that. They nailed that. Okay. How about a couple of things? Actually, let me load something up here because I want to show it to you in a second. Animated overlay. All right, we'll get to this in a second. Something just funny from yesterday. Not funny, but okay. You ready on do a quick little Jimmy video here? Ready?
Yeah, sorry. Just Brady's memes are. I mean, he is cool. He is.
Do you want to do something?
He is relentless.
John, have you seen the update on the greatest rivalry in sports? Brooks Koepka tweeted at Bryson, "It's nice to be living rent-free in your head." Or Bryson. Bryson tweeted that at Brooks. So Brooks tweeted Aaron Rodgers, "Sorry, bro." And Bryson said, "It's good to be living rent-free in your head."
Okay. The story came out a couple months ago, maybe a little less than that, about PIP. And there's a $40 million fund to pay the top 10 guys. So these guys understand. I think Koepka's no dummy. He's associated himself with Barstool, even though, like, Koepka's one of the best players. Like Barstool would want to talk to him, right? But he knows what he's doing. And Bryson, YouTube videos. Again, I don't blame any of these people for doing this. It's a smart move. Be a smart move with no pip. Are you afraid? Are they leaning into the pip, or is this real? Because Koepka's facial expression with Todd Lewis, you can't fake that. Like, that was not fake. You agree there?
I agree, but I'm beginning to wonder. I am beginning to wonder once they start tweeting at each other. Because you know what I thought of today?
But if this guy keeps talking shit about you, if you don't like him,
I know.
Eventually, if you're
Right.
Bryson, you got to draw a line in the sand, right?
That's the beauty, again, there's so many advantages to an individual sport, right? Like, no one can come out and be like, we really wish Bryson would just keep quiet. It detracts from the team. Like, there's none of that. So you can do whatever you want, and it's
We've had talks with Bryson. We would like, maturity.
Yeah,
we're
who's going to
working
say
on
that?
it.
Puma? Like DraftKings? No, they love this. But I did have the thought. I remember you and I having a conversation back in our early radio days about how, like, if we were both, like, wouldn't it be fun if you're a pro athlete to just have a fake beef with another pro athlete just to mess with everybody who, makes too much out of everything in the media and the fans and all that. And just, just to have some fun behind the scenes, you start, you're texting with each other, calling each other like, God, we really got these people tricked. I don't think that's what this is, but I'm with you. There is some element here where these two guys, I don't know if it's quite about knowing that it's good for the sport, but it is great for both of their brands. It is great, especially because now they're both involved. Like, it's not one-sided. It's not, and no one's going like.
That's a good tweet from Bryson.
It's a great tweet from Bryson.
Did you watch Bryson's YouTube?
I did.
I could see this. Like, Bryson's pretty nerdy at heart, of course. I mean, obviously, you just have to, if you just followed his career. He does have a couple like hype men that are just, where Brooks is just with Jenna. Brooks has got a pretty little small circle and like his brother. I could see Bryson's hype men. Or do they live in his house? I don't really know what they do.
It's not clear to me. Were they walking that thing that was like was he building a new house? Is that the thing they were doing a tour of?
No, his property. I think that's his training facility.
Okay,
I think
okay.
It's going to be a weight room. He lit up talking about the weight room and a simulation.
Gotcha.
So I think it's like a training, swing speed. He got very excited whenever he go to his property.
Yeah.
So I think his hype man. If I was his hype man, I would be like, fuck this guy. So I do. It's not like they're not going to fist fight, but I could see Bryson's hype man like, screw this guy, and then maybe Brooks. It's got a chance to. It's only really scratched the surface.
It has the potential to be if it's like if it has staying power.
These are the two best.
Here's the thing:
two of the best four Americans. I mean, these are two elite players.
If they're going to lean into it like this on social media, then they should not shy away from the PGA pairing them together in the first rounds of big tournaments or any tournament for that matter, right? Like they may not want to play together, but if we're going to lean into it, fellas, for the PIP money. Then let's lean into it and let's you don't cash it in until you really put them on TV together. So let's cash 100%. It in.
I don't think you can underestimate a big turn. Torrey Pines, maybe Eastlake, wherever, putting these two together, the crowd, like what we had with Phil and Brooks was pretty special, right? The crowd, it was awesome. Like part of the viewing experience was obviously Phil winning the major, but the power of the crowd. I noticed it last night in the Suns game. I was like, God, I'm more into this basketball game than I have been in 2 years, partly because there's a crowd.
Yeah.
The crowd guy would be, because who are these two playing to? The 28-year-old that's going to be drinking and screaming. Like it would have some juice. You're right. If you don't lean into it, then what are you doing? What's the point of all this, right? I mean, you guys are trying to grow. You're trying to print more money as an organization. These two guys are going to grow. Now, if you've just played golf, there is a focus element. You're like, well, could I just put me with Rory or DJ, right? They would, but like, hey guys, like this is part of the deal. Like we put Tiger and Phil together back in the day.
You just don't capitalize on this until you play them together. Like all of this stuff, everything around sports to build up matchups, eventually have to conclude with the matchup occurring.
Yeah, I'd play them together every tournament they were in. I mean, I don't see why you'd shy away from it.
It'd be great for them. It'd be great for their brands.
How big of a story would it be if when the pairings came out, Bryson and Brooks together or Torrey Pines U.S. Open Thursday, Friday?
It would be massive. It'd be so big.
It would be the biggest thing to happen in golf, besides Phil winning a major all year, right?
Yeah.
Just the hype, the anticipation, the clips. I mean, they shake hands. Because there is a lot out of your control to put them together Saturday, Sundays, right?
John, Brooks couldn't make it 30 seconds without making a face. If they play together for 4 hours, can you imagine?
But my point is, when you look back, like Tiger and Phil actually didn't play together that often Saturday, Sunday. Like there's an element of luck. You can win tournaments from second or third last. Like
sure.
the way if you all have the same scores, there's like a system. The first guy in, the last guy in. There's just you control Thursday and Friday, right? It's like the NFL. What would the NFL do?
Oh yeah, they
would
play.
Would you say would you say every tournament they'd be paired together?
Yeah, and
there'd be a balance.
Phil and Tiger, like they didn't really even lean into it until they had kind of gotten older and friendlier with each other, right?
I think there was even when they were kind of rivals, right? I mean, Tiger was better. I think their respect was probably different than this.
It was never.
Now,
like
part
this.
of it, these guys are young.
Yeah, it was never like this. So, this is great.
Koepka does feel a little obsessed with him.
We were talking about the other day, like who cares more? I do think Brooks cares more. Now, Bryson, you can't be getting blasted on these major platforms by Brooks Koepka and like Brady's memeing it and Roger and not have it also be in your dome. I don't even mean in your dome like bad. Like you clearly think about it. How could you not?
I think Tom today took it to that. Tom freaking Brady is using you.
What is Brady doing? Brady's incredible. Above it all. Somehow Brady's just like, I'm just having fun. Just above it all.
Here, I'm lighting this relationship on fire. The Packers screw you. And it's just like, I'm just in Montana. Me and Jules came to hang out for the week, and we just signed AB. Like, everything is good. He's kind of untouchable.
I mean, does the Roger stuff count as tampering? I don't. Trying to get him traded to the AFC?
Bryson tweeted, at Tom Brady, once Aaron Rodgers and I take you and Phil Mickelson, you will feel just as deflated as those balls were in the AFC Championship game.
Oh, my God.
No laying up. 4+ hours of mic'd up Bryson is going to be tough. Probably be a lot.
Yeah.
Did you see? And he put a deflated ball in Brady's hand.
I don't even see. Did he reply? Is it a reply?
He replied to the Tom meme about Bryson happy to be here. Aaron finalizing he has to spend the whole day with Bryson. I mean, Tom's making fun of him.
Yeah, I mean Brady brought that on himself.
These two guys, would you say, are locks to get the Pitt money?
Yeah, we definitely doing the Pitt money. So there's the Brady tweet. Bryson happy to be here. Aaron realizing he has to spend the whole day with Bryson. Like, you're right. That kind of feels like Tom doesn't like Bryson, right?
I mean, it's the guy they're playing. Yes, it's who they're playing.
And then Bryson comes with, once Aaron Rodgers and I take you down, Phil Mickelson, take down you and Phil Mickelson, you will feel just as deflated as those balls were in the AFC Championship game. Tom got suspended for that.
You missed 4 games.
Suspended.
Someone DM'd me the other day, like, do the Texans still have to pay Deshaun Watson, the bonus? Well, it's like, well, if the league suspends him, like Tom Brady, like Adrian Peters, you don't get paid. Tom lost paychecks. There has to be a bitterness there. Now, he's worth an unlimited amount of money. How do you ever shake that?
Well, it's not, to me, it's not, it's the money at a certain point. Obviously, it's real money, but it represents something. Like, you took something from me that you should not have been able to take from me. Like, I get that. I think I can understand that. Just the disrespect, just feeling, I'm not saying he did get disrespected, but that feeling of disrespect or having something taken from you that's someone should not have taken from you. I understand if Tom carries that with him, is my point.
It'll be interesting. Now, today they announced the match, but is there going to be overkill on these guys tweeting at each other?
Yeah, I mean, that's
or
where
is
it's
just
like,
that today it happened.
today it happened, but if it's real, then it's weird. You have to walk the fine line. Like, you can't keep tweeting because then it's clear the guy's in your dome. And I almost think you hurt it if you overdo it. But
You expect them to be paired together at Torrey Pines?
I think golf's crazy if they don't do it.
I agree.
Like, but if they play together, are they going to be able to not talk shit to each other?
Like, fucking hurry up.
Like, if people start talking shit in golf, like they're Patrick Beverly, that would take golf to another level.
Well, it's happened before. Like Keegan Bradley had a moment earlier this year with a guy talking shit to his caddy. Bubba's had a couple over the years, like with Steve Elkington. Like, there have been blow-ups on the course. Now, it wasn't like, I think Joel Damon and Siwoo Kim had a moment where or Sing Kang or one of those guys where they like almost fought. Like, I think it happens. It just rarely happens with like Tiger Phil, Justin Jordan, right? If it does, it's a needle mover.
Also, think about basketball. It's happening the whole game. It's not like, did you see it? Remember Draymond said something in the first quarter? No, it goes on the entire game. Every time the guy's at the free throw line. Golf, you're not allowed to talk, you know?
You see Anthony Davis kick the dude in the nuts last night?
No.
You know, remember Draymond with Steven Adams on the shot, kicked his leg out?
Mhm.
Same type
Same
deal.
deal.
Hit Jay Crowder in the balls, and he goes down. And then Reggie Miller said that, Draymond did it on purpose. And then Draymond was clearly watching
that's
the
what
game.
Draymond was tweeting
So
about.
Draymond tweeted at Reggie like, "No, I'm doing it on purpose. Where fucking bullshit?" Why are these guys not calling the games from the arena?
I don't know. But I'll tell you this. Cam Payne's jump shot offends me. Like, on a deep level. When he shoots, I get angry.
I think he looked pretty sweet last night.
His jumper's horrible. I don't understand it. It shouldn't work like that. But, all right. You want to get to Jimmy?
Yeah.
By the way, somebody said, yeah, okay. Let's find this Jimmy quote here that we're going to talk about. All right, ready?
Yeah.
Just doing videos, everybody. So here we go. 3, 2. Hey, what's up? I'm Guy.
I'm John.
It's our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it and give this video a like.
Yep, podcast below in the description. Please go check that out and subscribe to that as well.
Video brought to you by wineaccess.com/ham. 20% off.
Yep. Order yourself a bottle of wine, send it to a friend, send it to a loved one. Wineaccess.com/ham. 20% off. Expensive bottles, cheap bottles, they got it all, Guy.
Inexpensive, John, because satisfaction is guaranteed.
Oh.
All right, what do we think of the way Jimmy Garoppolo handled? I got to go back and count it up. When I read the transcript yesterday, I think it was at least 6 straight questions about Trey Lance. Yeah, it was several questions in a row about Trey Lance. You and I talk about this a lot. Price of admission is acting like a professional. You don't get extra points for acting like a professional. But I thought he handled it as well as he could have handled it. I was impressed.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen one reason you never know is because we've seen every end of the spectrum. For every guy that acts like Alex Smith, a couple years ago, Roethlisberger was a pretty big dick. Now, it turns out none of the guys could play. So it's like, should we really be mad about Roethlisberger not embracing Mason Rudolph? But I just think you want more. I bet if you ask Mike Tomlin, Kevin Colbert, like, Ben, we're paying you $30 million. You're the franchise guy. Can you just be friendly to people? Like, this shouldn't be that difficult. Rodgers is acting like he likes Jordan Love, but the reason he's mad at Gutekunst is because there was no communication. Well, what was there no communication over? Them drafting a quarterback. So it's like, yeah, you like the guy, but you're mad ultimately because the guy's there. Now, Rodgers and Roethlisberger are in a different universe than Jimmy, right? I mean, they've been all pros, Pro Bowls. Obviously, Rodgers is better than Roethlisberger, but they're elite players. Roethlisberger's not anymore, but he has pelts on the wall. So Jimmy had less equity to even begin to act like that. But I actually thought he was just one thing you don't get often anymore in these press conferences is authenticity with quarterbacks. I think sometimes you get it a lot more with like position players. They don't have as much to like gain or lose. They just kind of tell you how they feel. But with quarterbacks, it's just, and I don't blame them. Everything they say, if you're what would you say, like basically any starting quarterback, but there's like 15 guys. If they say something, it's just, it's a needle mover. I think you see it with star NBA players, and they get very, very cautious over what they say. And I thought Jimmy was just authentic. Like, yeah, I was a little taken back, right? I was a little, I don't know if he rattled, as he didn't say, but it was just he needed to take like a moment, right?
Yeah.
And then And then he realized, like, what kind of guy do I want to be? And I'm not going to pretend we're just best friends off the jump, but there's a relationship. It takes time. Like, what am I supposed to say? Yeah, we're best friends. Or, we've already hung out. I like the guy. He seems cool. It's going well. You can't force these things. I remember Alex and the Chiefs talking about the same thing. Like, we're not expecting him to just hold his hand every day and take him to dinner and be his BFF. But, like, if you have a true high character guy, there is an expectation of being a pro. And I was, not that I wasn't expecting him to be quote unquote impressive or say the right things, but I don't think he could have said it any better just about the way, like, this takes time, but I got his back. I understand. I'm here. Like,
I think that's well said. I didn't expect him to be anything but classy about it. I don't think I necessarily expected him to so many times articulate different thoughts when kind of asked generally about Trey in the same way. And he continued to go back to it. And I thought you're right, very thoughtful. Florio wrote today, Jimmy hinted at requesting a trade. I didn't read that into what he said. I don't know if you read it that far. I thought that was a stretch. I don't. They've been trying to. The rumor was they'd considered trading him. So, had at least investigated trading him. So he wouldn't have.
Of course, guy. They just traded 3 first-round picks for a quarterback.
He wouldn't have had to request it.
Well, he did control it because he has no trade clause, right?
I know, but if he had been able to, now you could argue if you're him, requesting a trade isn't. You might, if you can beat, like, part of it's like, if I can just beat this guy out and to start a year, you could argue he should feel like he should, right? Then he's in a pretty good spot to succeed. You come off looking like a good guy. You're on a good team. You know the system. You're healthy. If you keep Trey Lance on the bench, you get a lot of credit for that. You increase your value. In some ways you could argue this is the best spot for him to be in terms of elevating his value. And it sounds like he understands that. Like, one thing he said, I want to go back to one of his quotes, David Lombardi wrote this in The Athletic, highlighted it. This is one thing he said, trying to keep the muscles pliable and staying hydrated. All that stuff applies. He's talking about his ankles. But I really think it's just fun getting the fundamentals down and playing within the offense. When I play within the offense, things are good and things go well and I stay healthy. So that's a big part of the offseason. In other words, I'm taking care of
David
myself.
Lombardi or Jimmy Garoppolo? You seen David Lombardi? I mean, dude's got like 5% body fat.
Part of what he's saying is, like, I got to take care of me. When I play within the offense, I can play well and I stay healthy, and that might be enough to beat out Trey Lance this year, right?
Yeah, Jimmy has a lot on the line, because if I went back to my Roethlisberger point, like, Ben wasn't going to have some swan song for the Browns, right? He didn't have any desire to go play for the Texans, right, or the Dolphins. Like, Ben's perfectly fine retiring as a Steeler. Like, that's his turf. Why would he want to leave? There is probably a moment where, if you're Jimmy, you take a deep breath and you start kind of checking out the landscape of everything and going, is my best chance to resurrect my career and get, I don't know, another big contract here? Because if I was Don Yee, I'd go, look at what happened to Alex. They drafted a guy, and he had been a starter for more years than you, acted the right way, treated him the right way. The organization it felt like they were being over the top, but I just know internally they believed, like, the way he acted, and Mahomes has talked about it. He was then, I'll never forget the day that he was traded for Washington and they gave him an extension. People were like, how much did they just give him? Why couldn't that happen to Jimmy? Jimmy's traded to Team X next offseason after having a career year, treating Trey and being buddies with him, and just all these good reports all year long that are real. There's substance behind it. And then Jimmy's traded, for 2 twos, and that team extends him $70 million guaranteed. And people are like, oh my God. Like, we see it all the time with quarterbacks. All the free Teddy Bridgewater 2 years ago got 3 years and $60 million. Now, I think only 30 of them were guaranteed, but still, like, Jimmy is already a valuable asset if he's on the field more than like 70% of quarterbacks. The question is can he stay on the field? And then if you can factor in, God, he learned from Tom. He acts the right way. Like, I think he kind of brings a lot to the table for, what coaches truly like, right?
Yeah, he brings a lot to the table for a team that just drafted a quarterback 3rd overall, too. If he's going to act like that, right?
But I think probably once he realized the Patriots probably wanted him to take a pay cut. Like he was never going to go there being injured and make $20 million. That's not the way Bill operates. So he's like, well, I don't have to take a pay cut to be here. And the team might be better
The
here.
receivers are better.
And then once they draft Mac Jones and that goes away, I'm all in. Like, I'll just be the quarterback here and I'll win.
Yep.
Now, depending on how he plays, he could, he's not thinking this way, but he's not guaranteed to be the starter, right? Which could just change his career a little bit.
I'm going to play this now. This is kind of tongue-in-cheek. I just wanted my thought when I saw this video. So yesterday, our old buddy Casey Pratt over at ABC7 in the Bay Area. Yep.
Yeah.
He reposted. I'm just looking for I brought it up a second ago. This video. And here's my first thought, John, was, are they throwing the same route? Because if they're throwing the same route, Jimmy gets rid of the ball a lot quicker. Now, Jimmy gets the snap a hair ahead of Trey, but just a hair. The ball comes out a lot quicker than the difference in time between when they got the snap.
Well, maybe Trey knows that the GM and the coach aren't even paying attention, so it doesn't matter.
I'm just saying, Jimmy, one thing we talked about when they got Jimmy was just how tight his mechanics were. Look how this is, if they're throwing the same route, I'm just saying, one's a sack and one's a completion potentially.
Yeah, Jimmy should be, and listen, I talk a lot of shit about practice, some of the stuff coaches get just enamored with, because practice really matters to them. If that is true, they're throwing the same route.
Which I don't know that they are. They might not.
This is stuff like coaches make a big deal about, right? The fundamentals, the quickness of your feet, the drops, the pace. Jimmy should be ahead of him.
I guess.
Right?
Grant asked Shanahan if the high pass was a concern, and he was like, no. So maybe I'm making something out of nothing. But just something I noticed.
Good catch.
Something I noticed.
John and Kyle just going to, bullshit over there on the side? Or are they going to coach and evaluate?
Who are they watching? Where'd that video go? I'm all caught up now. What are they looking at?
I think they're probably just talking life. Do you think they're talking summer? Vacations?
It may not be a football conversation.
They're, maybe like something Robert Saleh used to do and maybe D'Amico. They got, is that, what would you guess, about $15 million of employee right there?
You notice Kyle changed his hat to the white hat for the post game. He's wearing a black hat backwards here. Backwards hat guy.
Niners just, Kyle doesn't very often wear like red clothes. You notice that? Feels like he's always in grays and blacks.
Yeah. Maybe red's not good on him. Like me, red's not.
I'm a red guy.
Yeah, red's good on you. Red, in the right context is good on me, but maybe not. You could tell me that it's not good on me. I don't know. Okay. We'll do a pod tomorrow. This was not a pod. We were just making some videos today, and we decided to go chef's table on it and let you guys all sit at the countertop while we worked.
What time are you thinking pod tomorrow?
I'd be down to I could do 9, 9:30, 10. We can hammer it out depending on how we're feeling in the morning, but early-ish, earlier than we've actually done one before, live stream.
I'm good with 9:30 or 10.
Okay. Cool. And are you gonna do a mailbag tomorrow too?
I was thinking just, because it's Memorial Day weekend, people are probably going to do who knows what, just do it all in one.
Could do that too.
That was just I would imagine most people are fucking around all weekend. It's not really a podcast weekend. Would be my guess. Just gut feel. People go to Tahoe. People are getting out of town. I was watching CNBC. They said the millennials purchasing of airline tickets the last 2 weeks has been through the roof. People
Really?
35 and under. Yeah. I that would be my gut, but
Okay. I'm good with that. We'll wait around the rest of the day, see if Brooks or Bryson tweets.
I hope they just don't over tweet.
I hope so too. To the point where it starts feeling fake.
Yeah, just play together,
Or fist fight.
Bryson's going pretty heavy on
Has
Instagram
Bryson
something.
not been on Twitter and now he's on today and he's seeing all Tom's posts?
I think Bryson, in fairness to him, got pretty relentlessly shit on for about 2 days, right?
Yeah, well,
all the memes.
Well, first of all,
the memes made him look bad.
well, Brooks. First of all, it's Brooks, right?
Yeah.
Brooks kind of like, this guy, I can't take this guy. You're right. Like everyone kind of it's easy to pile on, and he got.
But then
on.
every single person, most people using the meme, I would imagine a large percentage of like just that are out there in the Instagram story world, Facebook, don't really know golf. And it's just like, I'm just the butt of the joke, my face, right? Just the still shot of Brooks's face and Bryson's face in the back. If you had any sort of just like, screw this, you know? It felt like today he kind of snapped. Like, stop making fun of me.
I love it.
Wouldn't mind if they fought.
That's what I'm saying. Fist fight. All right. Thanks for hanging, everybody. Live podcast coming tomorrow morning, Thursday morning.
Vinatieri just retired.
We interviewed him at the Super Bowl. We interviewed him at the Super Bowl. He was really cool. Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's a
50.
high-level guy. Hell, 24 years.
Wow.
That's a long career in the NFL.
Wow.
Think he's the first ballot?
Yes. To kicker. I mean, I haven't looked at his class, but how is he?
Yeah,
not?
I think
Greatest
it's
kick
taken
in NFL history.
I think in history, the Ray guys, the Morton Andersons, I think it's been harder for kickers. Like it's taken them a little longer, kind of like the John Lynch path, but just took them years to. Tim Brown. I think it's very difficult for even the elite. Like Ray Guy was the best punter ever. It took him a while. But I think Vinatieri is the most famous.
Vinatieri did it in an era where he became a star so early, right? For a dynasty.
4 rings.
Feels like maybe the greatest kick ever in the snow. I don't
When
have
they
a
moved
list of
the snow out?
kicks ever, a list of the greatest kicks ever, but
It would feel like it's up there.
yeah. All right.
I love it. Okay, see you.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for hanging.